In the vast, quiet steppes of northern Kazakhstan, there is a village called Kalachi. At first glance, Kalachi looks like many other forgotten places scattered across Central Asia. A few dusty roads, small houses with metal roofs, old fences leaning under the weight of time, and a silence that feels heavier than usual. But Kalachi is not just another dying village. Kalachi is a place where people began to fall asleep and could not wake up. This is not a legend. This is not folklore. This is a documented, real event that confused doctors, terrified families, and attracted scientists from around the world. For years, the people of Kalachi lived with a fear unlike anything else. Not the fear of death, but the fear of sleep itself. It began quietly. One morning, a school teacher failed to arrive at class. At first, no one worried. Life in Kalachi moved slowly, and people were used to small delays. But hours passed. Then a full day. When neighbors entered her home, they found her lying in bed, breathing normally, her body warm, her heart steady. She was asleep. Not unconscious. Not in a coma. Simply asleep. They tried to wake her. They shook her gently at first, then harder. They called her name. They poured water on her face. Nothing worked. She remained asleep for nearly 2 days. When she finally woke up, she was confused but alive. She remembered going to bed. She remembered nothing else. Doctors had no explanation. At first, this seemed like an isolated incident, but it was not. Soon, another villager fell asleep. Then another. A farmer collapsed in the middle of the street and slept for 3 days. A child fell asleep at school and did not wake up until the following week. An elderly woman slept for 6 days straight. Some people slept for 2 days, others for 4, a few for more than a week. They called it the sleeping sickness. By 2013, Kalachi had become a village of fear. People were afraid to sit down, afraid to close their eyes, afraid that if they slept, they might not wake up for days or ever. Families began sleeping in shifts. Parents watched their children throughout the night. Neighbors check on each other constantly. Every knock on the door carried the same silent question, "Are you awake?" Doctors were called from nearby cities. Medical teams arrived with equipment, tests, and questions. Blood tests were taken. Brain scans were performed. Heart monitors were used. Everything looked normal. No viruses were found. No infections. No toxins in the blood. Yet people kept falling asleep. Some villagers described strange symptoms before it happened: dizziness, headaches, hallucinations, a heavy feeling in the limbs, as if gravity itself had increased. Others felt nothing at all. One moment they were awake, the next moment they were gone. Those who woke up described disturbing experiences, vivid dreams, endless corridors, voices whispering. Some said they felt like they were trapped between waking and dreaming, unable to move or scream. Others reported memory loss that lasted weeks. Children suffered the most. Imagine being a parent in Kalachi during those years. Imagine watching your child fall asleep, knowing there was nothing you could do, not knowing when they would wake up. Some children slept through entire birthdays, through holidays, through seasons. School became impossible, work stopped, life froze, rumors began to spread. Some said it was a curse, others believed it was punishment. Some whispered about secret military experiments left over from Soviet times. Fear grows fastest when there are no answers. Scientists looked deeper into Kalachi's past. Near the village stood the ruins of Krasnogorsk, an abandoned uranium mining town from the Soviet era during the Cold War. Uranium was extracted there in large quantities. When the mines were closed, they were left behind, flooded, forgotten. Radiation was suspected. Teams measured radiation levels in homes, schools, and streets. The results were higher than normal, but not high enough to cause mass sleep events. Officials said it was safe. The villagers did not believe them. Then came another theory, carbon monoxide, but tests showed no consistent leaks, and people were falling asleep outdoors as well. Another theory emerged, radon gas. Radon is a colorless, odorless radioactive gas that can seep from the ground. It can cause dizziness, fatigue, and confusion. Measurements showed elevated radon levels in some buildings, but again, not enough to fully explain the phenomenon. Months passed, then years. More than 140 people were affected. Some fell asleep multiple times. One man experienced the sleeping sickness 7 times. Each episode lasted longer than the last. Psychologists suggested mass hysteria. The villagers rejected this idea immediately. You cannot imagine sleep. One woman said, "You do not imagine being unconscious for 6 days." Finally, in 2015, scientists proposed the most accepted explanation. The abandoned uranium mines were slowly releasing gases, including carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons, into the air. Combined with low oxygen levels in the region, this created a unique environment. When wind conditions were just right, the air in Kalachi became heavy, invisible, and dangerous. People were not falling asleep. They were being slowly poisoned. The gases reduced oxygen levels in the blood, affecting the brain. This caused extreme fatigue, hallucinations, memory loss, and prolonged unconsciousness. The reason it seemed random was because the gas pockets moved unpredictably. Sometimes they entered homes, sometimes schools, sometimes streets. The explanation brought relief, but also despair, because the solution was simple and impossible at the same time. Leave The government offered relocation. New homes, new villages, new lives. But leaving Kalachi meant abandoning everything. Homes built by grandparents, graves of ancestors, memories rooted in the soil. Some refused, others stayed until the fear became unbearable. Today, Kalachi is almost empty. Houses stand silent, curtains hang still. The roads lead nowhere. The village that once could not stay awake now sleeps forever. And sometimes, when the wind moves across the steppe, locals from nearby towns say the silence feels unnatural, as if the land itself remembers. Kalachi remains one of the strangest medical mysteries of the modern world, not because science failed, but because it arrived too late for a village that had already begun to disappear.